So thank you again for joining us today. We're glad to have you with us at our first informational session for the 2021 Innovation Fund. And before we get started, I want to give you a little bit more information about our Innovation Fund through a quick video. This was from our last in-person event in fall 2019, and I'm not sure about you, but it seems like that's been forever ago now. And so enjoy this video.
Really exciting to be here with all of you today for the culmination of our 2019 Innovation Fund. We are celebrating truly 9 fantastic finalists, and I have to say you all are really in for a treat today.
The legitimacy and the exposure that we get with the Workers Lab is going to be pivotal. It's going to allow us to stand in front of other organizations, including unions, so that we can collaborate and figure out how we can actually put this into action.
I really believe in unrestricted funding for innovative organizations that are thinking critically about what it takes to undo the power dynamics within our society. And I think that the Workers Lab funding in this community is on the front lines of trying to really push the needle when it comes to that.
It's so rare to find investors who actually care about the users you're trying to serve, to work with groups like the Workers Lab, to really think through how we can deliver a quality product, really have the greatest impact for our users and not sacrifice their security and safety along the way.
For us, it would really give us confidence in what we're trying to build. It's a really bold idea. You know, we want to make wage theft non-existent in this country, and we think that we can do that by bringing together workers and technology. This would be our first grant, and we see a lot of potential for the solution, not only in New York, but around the US.
So welcome. My name is Joshua, and I'm the program manager here at the Workers Lab. And I'm joined today by my fabulous colleagues, Seth, Amanda, and Antonella, who are supporting me behind the scenes. And they're going to help us with facilitating Q&A as well. So we're so excited that you've joined us today, and we're really looking forward to helping you better understand the application process, whether this competition is a right fit for your project, and hopefully answer any questions that you have as well. Here's a quick look at our agenda for today. I'm going to share a little bit about who we are at the Workers Lab, the type of work we do. I'm going to give you an overview of this year's Innovation Fund cycle, and then some resources we'll walk through, and I'll share about our past winners. And then we'll take a look at the award application itself in AwardForce. And then lastly, we'll walk through some Q&A. And so quick housekeeping tips before we dive in. Use the Q&A function, so it's there if you have any questions. We're happy to answer them. Questions will be put in a queue, and we'll get to them at the end of the session. If we can't get to all the questions that are asked in this session today, don't worry, we'll be sending out a follow-up email to everyone who registered, and that will include a recording of the webinar. As I mentioned, you'll get to watch that video at the top that we missed, and then we'll have a Q&A PDF as well. So we'll compile all the questions that you're asked. And then lastly, if you have any questions that come up at any point throughout the cycle for the Innovation Fund, feel free to email innovationfund@theworkerslab.com. And if there's technical specifics, whether that's AwardForce or something else that you need tech support on, please email if-support@theworkerslab. Great. So our vision at the Workers Lab is a society where all workers are safe, healthy, secure, and free. But we believe that right now, not all workers can say that they are. And that's partly because many of the systems and structures that make and keep workers safe, healthy, secure, and free weren't created with all workers in mind. All of our past winners believe in and share in this vision, even if we're all using different tools and strategies to make this vision real. And so we invite you to share in this vision with us through the ideas and projects that you're working on and have in play currently. And so to achieve this vision, we go about it by investing in new ideas for workers. And that's our purpose. It's to give new ideas a chance to succeed and flourish. And we know that's a big vision, and there's no magic roadmap. And so we believe as a lab that we have to try a lot of different things. We're going to take old ways of working and tinker with them. As we've done over the last year, we're translating a lot of in-person work and tactics into digital. We're embracing technology, and we're pushing the boundaries of what seems possible for labor innovation. And so our job here at the Workers Lab is to create that container where leaders like you, with promising and perhaps sometimes crazy ideas, have a place to go. And your ideas are stretched, they're pressure tested, and you can have access to the tools, knowledge, and resources to refine those ideas, to test them, and then share all those learnings with the field. And so it's important to note also that when we started as a Workers Lab in 2014, there were very few spaces for early stage investment. And so we're proud to continue to be at the forefront of uplifting new ideas for workers, because we do know that there are very limited resources still to this day that exist for leaders like you who are taking risks, who are building out new ideas and trying tactics that others might think are too ambitious. So that's exactly what we do here at the Workers Lab. We want to give worker leaders, people like you who are innovating, a chance with your new ideas. And so we have 3 core strategies, which we execute our work through. We invest, we learn, and we inform. And these strategies are supported by our 3 main programs, which is our Innovation Fund, our Design Sprints, and our Learning Hub. So we invest in new ideas. Others, such as all of you who are here today, are working on through our Innovation Fund. And then we also invest in new ideas no one else is working on through our Design Sprints. And lastly, we take that learning, we try to make sense of it, we work with all our innovators and partners to make sense of it, and then we use that information and that learning to inform leaders who are making decisions that impact work and workers, both on the local levels and federal level. And so you might be asking, what kinds of ideas are we looking for this cycle? So this cycle is about transforming systems and structures. Specifically, we're looking for ideas that transform systems and structures in service of making workers more safe, healthy, secure, and free. And if you're wondering, what is new, what constitutes as a new idea, this is where we have a broad definition, both for what's new and what innovation looks like. It could be an innovative solution. Maybe it's an approach to an existing idea that's been tried, but not this way specifically. And it can be anything. It could be a product, a program, a service, a policy strategy, anything else. And we're especially excited in the context of new ideas for workers in new geographies. If you are at the forefront or thinking about workers in underrepresented industries, or even demographics that have been historically excluded. And so some of these groups that we've identified as focal points for the Workers Lab are women of color, youth, gig workers, etc. And so if you have anything that's along those lines, that's a great match for us. And you might be asking, well, what does the idea have to do? To what end? And the answer to that is that those projects basically have to either fix, update, introduce, reintroduce, or transform systems and structures. And again, ultimately, like I said, in service of making and keeping workers safe, healthy, secure, and or free. And implied there is just the idea that we know not all ideas will address directly safety, healthy, security, and freedom, but we want ideas that are going to support workers and help them become more safe, healthy, secure, and free. So it might be one of those, it might be all of those, and we're open to all of that as well. So here are some details for the awards. This grant cycle, we're making grants of up to $150,000. There will be multiple grants, and that is determined by the number of applications that we get in and that we move forward. And they're going to be along with that grant for our winners, you're going to have 12 months to further test and develop your ideas about making workers safe, healthy, secure, and free. And then we are with you along for the entire process. So we have quarterly check-in calls. We try to do 2 cohort convenings where you can get together with like-minded folks and get support with your ideas and testing them. And then we have interim and final reports, as well as case studies where we share our learnings. And so, as I mentioned, we're along with you for the ride. So we're here to support you as the Workers Lab staff. If you need advice, putting out more messaging about your work, sharing it with relevant leaders, getting you connected to the right people, that's what we're here for. And that's what we want to support you with. And so since our innovation fund started in 2014, the Workers Lab has supported over 78 projects now, and we've invested about $5.1 million. And so in this most recent cycle, we received 558 applications from 7 countries and 48 states. And we ultimately funded 12 of those projects, totaling $800,000. And these are our 3 winners from this most recent cycle: Carina, Warehouse Workers, and Driver's Seat. And they all are working on incredibly interesting things. Carina is working on a platform for matching childcare, with a focus especially on lower wage workers and communities of color who need access to childcare and have been disproportionately affected during the pandemic. The Warehouse Workers Resource Center is working on high road jobs and a transition to green jobs, specifically in Southern California, where it handles 40% of the US logistics and shipping. And then last but not least, the Driver's Seat Cooperative is working on driving data, insights, and power back into the hands of gig workers who are so often just left to follow an algorithm that they had no part in designing. And so you should check these innovations out. We are happy to share a lot about our work, and you can get more information either on our Learning Hub page under our innovators. You can read specifically about the last few cycles in our blog tab on our website. And then we have some information about them as well on our Innovation Fund pages. So you might be asking, how do I know if I'm eligible? If you are an independent organization or fiscally sponsored project, we accept both. If you're an individual just with an idea, you would fall under the independent organization category. If at any point through the application, you're not sure about how to answer some of the questions, feel free to reach out to us. And we've intentionally kept the criteria broad because we are trying to create room for ideas and creative and new ideas. And so if you're a nonprofit, if you're in the public sector, if you're a for-profit business, we welcome any and all entities to apply. There are no restrictions on geography. And so projects that are based outside of the United States, as long as you have an aspect of impact for United States workers, you're also eligible. And then you'll just need a US tax ID number. And then last but not least, no restrictions on industry. And if you want to, you can submit more than one project, but only one project will be selected per organization. So here's a sense of our timeline. As you probably know, our application opened 10 days ago. And so you have about a month more to fill out that application. So don't rush, take your time, but do get it in before the deadline. Applications that come in late will not be considered. And after the open call round, we will move forward with about 30 semifinalists. And those 30 semifinalists will be invited essentially to submit additional information about the application. This includes some financial information, a short video pitch, as well as a few questions that dive deeper into the specifics of the team and the capacity. And then from that pool of about 30 semifinalists, we will choose about 10 to 12 finalists to move forward with us. And the finalists have basically 2 tasks at hand. One is to present at our finalist showcase at the end, towards the end of the year. And then they will also meet with our board of directors to get a little bit deeper into some of the specific questions, as well as getting a sense of how we can better support your project if we do decide to select the project to move forward. And so winners will ultimately be announced publicly by December 7th. And just a note here, we try to keep all of our timelines as tight as possible, but they are subject to change in some cases. Especially last year, we extended a bunch of deadlines to accommodate for what was going on in the world. And so if you're having any issues or you have any additional questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. And so to get into more of the specifics of each cycle, I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough of the evaluation criteria. For round one, what we're really looking for is to understand what the critical problem that you are addressing through your innovative project. And so give us a sense for how that problem is affecting the workers you're serving, and really give us the context for how you're viewing it. And then we will primarily focus on your solution statement. So what is your solution and how will it be transforming systems or structures to make all workers safe, healthy, secure, and/or free? And then giving us a really clear sense of how you're including workers, or if you're not yet, just give us a sense of if you're planning to, what you've thought about so far in terms of including workers in the design and development of the project. And these three areas, the problem, the solution, and the inclusion of workers, are incredibly important to us at the Workers Lab. And on this note, we believe in centering workers. And so as you're thinking about that, we also ask a couple questions about what the in-depth thinking about your long-term goals for the project are. And so this is just to get a sense for your ambition, where you believe this project should be taken to. And there is no wrong answer when it comes to these questions. We are purely trying to get a sense for how you're thinking about the project and how we might be able to support you over the next 12 months. And in round two, as I said, we dive a little bit deeper into the financial picture, capacities, as well as learnings. And so we try to understand what are some of the potential gaps or barriers. We let you articulate those so we get a better sense for the project as a whole. And we want to get a sense for how you're going to maximize the $150,000, as well as get some key project goals, specifically 3 SMART goals. And then last but not least, we want to get a sense for how you're thinking about learning. And then, as I mentioned, there's a short 3-minute video pitch. And here, really want to reiterate that we're not focused on the quality of the actual video. It's about the content. We want to see who you are, and we want to hear from you firsthand. And then last but not least, our final round. This includes, as I mentioned, pitching the projects at the finalist showcase, as well as Q&A with our board of directors. And so here is where we would require one project team member, and this is in the application. We refer to this person as the project presenter. This would be the person who participates and pitches your idea at the finalist showcase. And if you're worried about that, do not worry, because we have coaching calls. We have a few weeks of preparation where we support you through the process. We help you with your slides, and we get you to your best to be ready for the live pitch. And then later that week, we have short sessions as well for Q&A with our board of directors, and they get to ask you a few more questions and dive deeper into getting to know you and more about the project. In terms of application resources, so we will, as I mentioned, send out the webinar recording, as well as the Q&A and that video that we missed at the top. That will be available next week. And some of the resources that are already live on our website, you can look at our Innovation Fund tab. There's a step-by-step approach for how to submit an application. We have some frequently asked questions there, as well as the recent winner section, so you can check that out. And as I mentioned at the top, the Learning Hub tab is great for seeing the broader portfolio of our innovators. And last but not least, the blog tab, that's where you can check out and read more about the Innovation Fund as we've articulated it. And so we understand that this oftentimes you have partners you're working with, other team members. And so we are very happy to provide reader-friendly versions of the application questions. And this applicant guide preview is available both in the AwardForce platform itself and online on our website. It's a Google document, and you can download it into a Word document if that's what works best for your team, or you could use a PDF as well. And so I'm going to navigate quickly into the application portal itself. So just give me one moment here. And so you'll be able to see logging into the AwardForce account, and then we're going to walk through each tab. There are 4 main tabs on the application. So when you go to your My Application section, you can press Start Application. And then when you go into your application, you'll be able to see and click on, for example, in this case, what we're calling this project is New Project Demo 1. And then you'll see that you select the applicant cycle as 2021, and you'll see the project name. And just for clarification, this project name is not the name of your organization. It's the project that you're applying for. And so we limit that to 5 words purely logistically so that it's easy to navigate through the application portal for our reviewers. And when you are on this screen, the first thing that you should do is scroll down and fill out your information. So as I mentioned at the top, there's a project presenter, which is the person we're asking the information from. And then if that project presenter is not the fiscal authority for the organization, then we also ask for you to fill out primary contact information, which is the information of the decision maker, signatory, fiscal authority of the organization. And then once you tick an understanding agreement about your participation, you can press Save and Next. And then this page, it's pretty standard in terms of collecting information about your organization. But again, here I mentioned you have the option to select either an independent organization or a fiscally sponsored project. The only difference here is that if you select fiscally sponsored project, you'll have a couple more questions that will ask you about that fiscal sponsor that you're working with. And so you can scroll down then and fill out the application as you go. You can go in any order that you like, but again, just a reminder to press Save and Next. And then on our third tab, it will focus on 2 primary areas. The top section here is about the leadership and geography focus of the work that you're doing. So who's the leader, a little bit more about them, and then a little bit more about the geographies that you're working in. And if you scroll down, you'll see that there's more questions about the innovation context and approach. And then lastly, there's a section on exploratory questions. And that section really is purely for our approach to learning, and we're trying to get a better sense for how you're thinking about the work that you're executing on. And so this section, just as a note, will not be used in the evaluation of the application. So we really want to get a sense for how you're thinking and feeling. So don't be shy. Tell us what you're thinking about in terms of worker power and anything else that you feel like is relevant. And then there are a few more questions. And you can press Save and Next as well. And then last but not least is the project information tab. So here is really the bulk of the application sits in this tab. And this is where we're evaluating the application and using the primary lens. Like I said, tell us a little bit more about you and your team. We really want to get a sense for why you're doing this work. And then, as I mentioned earlier, who are the workers that you're trying to serve in this project? And so giving us a really good sense of, are they farm workers, if they're healthcare workers, and we have always a broad base of applications and workers being served. And so anyone across the board is welcome. And as I mentioned earlier, if your project is based internationally, as long as there is an ultimate impact on workers in the United States, that makes your project eligible. And then the last few questions here are about the problem you're trying to solve, the solution, what is your new idea, or what is this idea that you're innovating on or have been working on for a while. And last but not least, as I mentioned, getting a sense for how workers are being included in the design and development of the project, as well as the long-term impact and influence, and the revenue model for the project. So we're just trying to understand with questions 55 and 56, what your ambition is And as I've mentioned, there really are no right answers or wrong answers. We believe that you are the experts at the forefront of this work. You understand these issues most intimately, and so we're looking to take your lead on how we're understanding this work. And then last but not least, for submitting the application, you just give us a sense of what the total project cost is going to be. We know that 150 is often just a drop in the bucket for some organizations, or maybe it's half of your budget. Whatever that is, we would love to know what the total project cost that you're projecting is going to be. And then you can fill out this survey, press save, and submit. So 3 S's, and you're done. Again, that's fill out the survey, press save, and then submit your application. Thanks so much, Seth. Great, and so now we'll dive back in to the last segment of our presentation for today, which is our questions. And as a refresher, again, as I said, don't rush the process. Take your time with answering the questions. There are word limits, so clear and concise answers are important. Having a deep understanding of the problem, as I mentioned, articulating for us, how is this new, experimental, or innovative? And then alignment with our vision, right, which is to see all workers be safe, healthy, secure, and free, as well as our purpose to uplift new ideas and give them a chance to succeed and flourish, and our values as well. And before we jump into questions, I'll give you all just a quick 30 seconds to get in any questions that you have, and I'll start going down my queue. And if you're not already following us on social media, I highly encourage that you do. Our social media handles are the quickest way to see new information, new updates, and keep you on track with reminders about submitting your application. And then we feature our winners, past finalists. And so as you're working on that application and maybe you want some inspiration, that this is a good place to be. Get connected to us. And as a reminder, applications are due July 12th by 11:59 Pacific time. Okay, I think that's actually all I'm seeing. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We would love to get some feedback from you. There's still some questions probably that are unanswered, and we'll be happy to get that out to you when we send you the recording of this webinar. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Please give us feedback. innovationfund@theworkerslab.com is the email that you want. If you have any outstanding questions, you can feel free to email us and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Let us know how we can support you. Again, don't forget your resources. You have the application guide, there's office hours, as well as other details about the timeline. You can find all of that on our innovation page on our website. And thank you so much. Have a great rest of your week and happy applying.